Okay. Hey, everybody. How's it going? It's Annette the Peacemaker, and I am here with our Yang Gang sister, Suzanne Hug. And we are okay. So I was pretty late today in finding out the breaking news because I decided to take the day off from looking at my phone and the computer, and I went and spent the day with my daughter and granddaughter. And we went to the park and we went and got ice cream, and it was just like this beautiful, glorious day. And then in the so Suzanne and I are in the same Arizona like Yang Gang leadership group. And so that's where I saw the first break of the news. But I was like, oh, something's going on today. And I saw those first pictures that were shared, right? There was like a series of photos. And I was like, whoa. But then I was driving and we were shopping and on and on. And then, so here we are. I need to get caught up on what's going on. Suzanne has been following what's going on, so she is here to help guide us through it. And then, so our friend Sandra here says that Trump is going on TV and wonders if he's conceding. Well, that will be delightful. So what we are going to do is we're going to share some stuff on the screen, and I'm going to jump around like Twitter and YouTube and try to find some live videos going on, and let's just see what we can find, okay? All right, share screen. And if anyone wants to come on and hang out with us, you can, but we are not here to argue and debate or anything like that. We're just here to observe the news as it happens. Okay, so
this really is a historic day. I mean, talking about observing the news. So I subscribe to a couple different things. One of them is The Economist, though, which is a UK publication. And their top story immediately flipped from the Senate race in Georgia, which was won by both Democrats. We got that news today. Or late last night, early this morning. Immediately to the people attacking the Capitol building. And, I think part of this too is even what's the language being used around it. It's very interesting to see from some of the different media outlets. There was a tweet that was then deleted by Ivanka Trump calling them American patriots. Right? And these are armed people who stormed Capitol grounds, broke windows. I mean, they're destroying historic buildings and literally breaking into the chambers of people. They're, pounding on the doors. There's a picture a man took it like a selfie in Speaker Pelosi's office. And then he wrote her like a hateful note.
Wow. And then I saw one of a guy, my friend Mel shared one of a guy carrying off a podium. Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, there were essentially, that's the thing. What do you call this? I mean, is it just treason?
I saw that picture.
Yeah. And one of the craziest things to me, I actually retweeted it. I'm at Hug Mesa AZ. If anyone wants to follow me,
let's go to Twitter.
At Hug, HUG, Mesa, MESA, AZ. That there is a video of the Capitol Police actually opening up the barricades and letting these people in. Letting them in.
OMG. Okay.
And
so everyone, here's Suzanne's Twitter, if you're on Twitter.
It so outraging to me.
More. This one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, go ahead and just play that one. Everyone needs to see that. So, yeah, if you can see there were barricades, people on one side, Capitol Police presence there. And they actually open them up. The police turn around and start walking forward, essentially leading them in. I visited the Capitol before. I actually
Oh
went
my
and did
gosh.
trainings there when I was running for Arizona State House. And that is the area right in front of the buildings. So the
So
idea.
I went on it.
Mhm.
So that's right in front of the Capitol building, the steps of the Capitol building right there, right?
Yes. Yes, those are the steps right to the
I
side.
Oh, yes. Okay. So we went on a class trip when I was in junior high to Washington, D.C., and we got a whole class picture taken up there. And our senator was Charles Grassley at the time, and he is still senator today, right? He's senator, or what is
Yep.
he, governor?
Chuck Grassley. Yeah, he's still
Chuck
in there.
Grassley, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, whatever his role is, I know he's still there, but he was like a young man with brown hair. It was in the early 80s, probably about 80, like 82 or 83, somewhere in there. So he's been in there forever and ever. All right. So
Yeah.
what else
So
should we look at?
that was just some craziness today. That's the only video that I
Okay.
retweeted on there. Yeah, the chief of staff for the first lady has resigned.
Stephanie.
Yeah, Jennifer Jacobs is actually a Capitol reporter that I follow. Now, they did say that they would be going back into session once it got cleared out and that they would be finishing this. Several of the Republicans who were going to like speak up and object have decided not to in light of events. So, yeah, I was following NPR,
Okay.
but also the
So
BBC,
I
The
think that's what
Economist, and
Paget.
Twitter.
So I think that's what Paget is watching right now. So let's listen to this for a few minutes because this is
Yeah.
live.
Let's see. I don't have any audio on my side.
You don't have audio on your end? Oh, you know
Mm-mm.
why? It's because I can't use my headphones. When I'm broadcasting, I can't use my headphones.
Or perhaps
Gotcha.
another woman with advanced cervical or ovarian cancer, all with a very challenging prognosis. But before I sit down with each one of those patients, I carefully reviewed all their labs, their x-rays, and their pathology to make sure I had the facts straight. But at the end of the day, my final recommendation was always going to be a recommendation from my heart. I want my fellow Kansans and all Americans to know that I've given as much consideration and thought surrounding the issue objecting to a state's electoral college votes as I did considering the treatment plan for a serious health concern. And today's decision, once again, is from my heart. Mr. President, I rise today to restore integrity to our republic. And I rise to join the many of our colleagues who are all concerned for current and future generations. We must restore faith and confidence in one of our republic's most hallowed patriotic duties, voting.
This is what I find so interesting. Everyone has a whole lot.
I'm sorry if it's, I hate that it's loading. I'm sorry.
Oh, this
To
guy.
say on this topic, but when it comes to something that a lot of people really care, I mean, obviously people care about this, but a lot of people really care about like $2,000 checks. Not as many people came up to say anything. Not many people lobbied hard for it, which is honestly what the people would have preferred to watch and listen to. I just can't take these people.
Yeah, I have to agree with her.
Crisis. I don't rise and do a state's legally obtain electoral college votes. Rather, I rise in hopes of improving the integrity of the ballot to hold states accountable to the time-proven constitutional system of the electoral college. This is why I urge the formation of electoral commission to give constructive suggestions and recommendations that states can make to make our elections once again safe, free, and fair after a year of jarring irregularities. We must and will have a peaceful transition to power. To all my fellow Americans, I have no doubt that our republic can go stronger through this difficult day. May God bless this great republic. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield back.
Democratic leader.
Senator Duckworth.
Senator from Illinois.
President, in 2004, I packed up my
Tammy
rucksack,
Duckworth.
laced up my boots, and deployed to Iraq, ready to sacrifice whatever was asked of me, all because I love this nation. Willing to sacrifice my life if needed.
Talk about it,
Because I
American hero.
believe in the sanctity of our electoral system, which had prepared George W. Bush.
Can you hear?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Tammy Duck.
Chief. I earned my wound, proudly fighting in a war I did not support. On the
William,
orders
you
of
and
the
me
president,
both.
I
We
did
were
not
just-
vote for,
That was
because
insane.
I believed in, and I still do believe in, the values of our nation. Because I believe in a government of, by, and for the people, where voters.
No, I mean, she is a
Voters.
war
No,
hero.
no, no.
I'm
But-
not going to
Not the other way around.
just behind.
I have spent my entire adult life defending our democracy, but I never thought it would be necessary to defend it from an attempted violent overthrow in our nation's own Capitol building. Well, I refuse to let anyone intent on instigating
Yeah, she would have
chaos
made it a better
or inciting
movie.
violence deter me from carrying
Yeah.
out my constitutional
And not just a
duties.
war hero, but her fight for female equality in the Capitol building
When the
has been
45,000
huge over her time there.
in Arizona raised their right hands and swore
That's good.
to protect and defend the Constitution. We did not.
I don't know that much about her except for
by
she
saying
was
follow
a
orders
veteran
only
on the
when
list.
commander-in-chief was someone whose election we were.
I don't
But she-
understand what that.
She's also the one who had a baby and fought for the right to be able to have her baby with her at work. And so they had to change Senate rules to allow that.
I don't understand how you can
Every
be both.
senator in this chamber was sworn into office. We didn't mutter under our breath that
This
we
is what people
discharge our
wanna
duties
hear.
only when it served our political interests or helped us to avoid the wrath of a petty, insecure, wannabe tin pot dictator
Nice.
She does not mince words.
on the precipice of losing
And
power
let's be
and
honest,
relevance.
let's actually take a deep breath and think about what we saw earlier today. Aside from the shooting from the police officers of the mobsters, it really wasn't that violent. Okay, like, and I know a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me because there's a lot of people rebuking what happened today. But if you actually look at the videos, yes, it got a little aggressive, but I would not go out and say that it was super crazy violent. I would not say it was crazy violent. I didn't see a whole bunch of people like, you know, firing arms at people or whatever, firing guns.
Well, maybe because the cops weren't perpetuating any violence against the protesters today, where the
Mhm.
cops were creating a lot of the violence in the past protests. So, I mean,
Yeah.
were there smoke
That's why I think
bombs
it's important
and
to
stuff
see
today?
that
Were
they
there
were
rubber
kind of
bullets?
working together. You know?
Yeah. All right. Should we go see if we can find something else to look at?
Yeah, I actually just retweeted
Let's
an
see,
article from a local Arizona person, though. Yeah,
Okay.
is our sitting president
This one?
leading a terrorist organization? I mean, if you saw some of the pictures I saw today, they were literally scaling these walls up there, smashing these, centuries old
I
windows.
saw a little bit of that. Yeah. I was kind of halfway watching on my phone while I was driving. I'm sorry, you guys, but I was. But I had it like right. It was like right in my line of vision, just quite close to the steering wheel, and I wasn't being unsafe, but still, I was listening to
the other thing, though,
news.
is, and I think it's so important to
Okay.
talk about, is the divergence of information. Right? I mean, it's gotten so bad because here's one side, right? You see these photos. I mean, people clearly on these buildings where we have our legislators, where the representatives are. And in this case, the article says it's a violent mob. We know that there was violence. That's been confirmed by multiple different media outlets, as well as the Capitol, reporters, staff, Congress people even, who, reported being in lockdown, that they could hear the banging outside the chamber doors. I mean, this was not something where they were just told it was dangerous. There's a photo from inside the chamber where they had actually moved a giant credenza to block the doors, and you can see the shattered windows. So to me, there is no question that there was violence. To mitigate that in any way is irresponsible. But then there's also things out there saying, oh, this is Antifa that's been dressed up, right, in Trump capes. And what are you going to say to that?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, Kate, you're right. If that was a BLM group, there would have been no hesitation.
I am your president of law and order.
As he spoke, a
I agree with that.
remarkable scene unfolded outside the White House.
Members of our armed forces were moving forcefully.
Fired at, gassed, and shoved.
The president's tweet, an extraordinary line: when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
And we've seen this time and time again. We saw this in Michigan, right, where different groups were treated differently. We've seen this, if that they were a pro-Trump group, even though they were armed with rifles, wearing camos, standing on, plotting to kidnap the governor, treated very differently.
This is the downfall of Wi-Fi in a rural setting.
Well, we need broadband for all rural areas. So it's But this idea, I mean, so I've seen screenshots from other groups. I have friends who are, all across the political spectrum, libertarian groups, etc.
Okay, so here
there are people saying that these are Antifa that have dressed up, attended a Trump rally in the morning, and then walked over and stormed the Capitol building in the afternoon. Not even a joke. They are already spinning this.
Okay. So Ilhan Omar has said, I'm drawing up articles of impeachment. Donald J. Trump should be impeached by the House of Representatives and removed from office by the United States Senate. We can't allow him to remain in office. It's a matter of preserving our republic, and we need to fulfill our oath. I agree. Retweet. Donald Trump must be removed from office immediately. So how is that possible? What needs to happen for that to happen?
So just like before, the House would need to draw up articles of impeachment, basically charges against what he's done. And right now, there's a laundry list between that call to the Georgia governor demanding that they find votes to today's literal inciting of violence against the United States government. Pick something, right? Reach into a hat and pick out something.
From where was she from? Michigan or Wisconsin. They were going to kidnap that gal.
Mhm.
My memory is really bad. I can't remember people's titles and roles and
Yeah, the governor.
stuff.
The
but-
governor of the state.
Okay, so
there was a
we're trusting
solid plan to
people
kidnap.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and remember,
Well,
these
let's
members
see
of
what this
Congress that are tweeting
says.
are trapped in that building, essentially. They had to go into lockdown today. Nobody's been able to leave. They've
Yeah,
had to set
they
up
were in
barricades. There's a
lockdown.
police presence. I mean, this is the kind of thing you see in banana republics.
Today, a standing
Yeah.
Republican silence from Democrats.
Certainly a day of extremes. And when you look at that, we started out with the most significant breach of the Capitol since the War of 1812. And I wanted to kind of pick up then on something that we saw inside that David mentioned in the Capitol on a much smaller level, but something that we haven't seen certainly in a long time, which the appearance of unity, the appearance of agreement across the aisle, not just with that standing ovation, but also there was nodding when Schumer talked about the people who have breached the Capitol should be
Prosecuted.
Mhm.
prosecuted.
Which is from Republicans condemning what happened. The question now is, even if something like the 25th Amendment isn't invoked and voted on, even if impeachment isn't pursued,
Oh my gosh, that's so frustrating.
So,
accountability does arise.
local reporters, I just retweeted one, that the cabinet is discussing potentially invoking the 25th Amendment, which would remove Trump. The impeachment sounds great, and it's something
Well,
the House
let's
could
do
get
it.
done, but you need 2/3 vote in the Senate.
Okay.
And with everything
so
that
Yang,
the GOP
I saw
has-
him post. I saw him post. He said President Pence.
Yeah, let's see what he's up to.
Okay, so Yang says what is happening in the Capitol is reprehensible and has been building up for years. Those who enabled Trump should know that this is where it leads. My heart goes out to the injured, and I hope everyone that can do so stays safe. This is a dark day in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then
so
just
then
an
we
hour
would have,
ago,
so then we would have
Pence.
President Pence for 2 whole weeks, and hopefully he wouldn't be able to do too much damage in 2 weeks' time. I agree with most things Yang said. Twitter bans for, okay, so let's talk about that. So Twitter banned Trump today for inciting violence, right? Yeah, okay.
For all
so
of 12
here,
hours.
Kate asked, what are the steps that have to happen? Did you already go over that? Did I miss
No,
it?
we haven't talked about the 25th Amendment.
What
So
are
the
steps that
25th
have to
Amendment,
happen for the 25th.
yeah, we for the 25th Amendment to go into effect, basically the cabinet
12
has.
hours Trump was banned.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to be banned for life.
Go ahead, Suzanne.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's basically, it clarifies that the vice president becomes acting president if a president becomes unable to carry out his duties, right? In the past, it's been used if a president had to undergo surgery. I believe it was used when Reagan was shot. But it can also be used to remove the president if the vice president and a majority of the cabinet determines that he's unable to discharge the powers and duties of office. So the vice president would have to lead this. And I did hear that, I saw somewhere on Twitter that Pence had unfollowed Donald Trump earlier today. And he has disavowed a lot of these actions. The vice president would have to instigate, and then a majority of the cabinet would have to vote to agree. If that happens, then the 25th Amendment is invoked, and Pence becomes acting president until the new president is put in place. So that is actually very doable. but it fully relies on people that Trump has handpicked.
Right.
And honestly,
Okay.
so many of our cabinet members are acting, not appointed. I don't even know how that would affect it or if it would. So I'm sorry on that front.
I see.
But it's only been used temporarily in the past. It's
Okay,
never
so I was just
actually been used to remove.
I see. Well, everything else is unprecedented about this, so why not that? Let's just make up some new rules. Okay, so Marco Rubio says there's nothing patriotic about what is occurring on Capitol Hill. This is third world style anti-American anarchy. And I just wanted to come see people just tear into him. I'm not sure why Yang is, I missed how Yang is tagged in this, but you fueled it, dumbass. You're a coward, a fraud, a co-facilitator of this action. Quit lying, resign now. We've just had a third world style election. You did this, you own this, you've betrayed your country. Yeah, man. I mean, I love when the celebrities are all bold. Patricia Arquette is on Trump's page every day, giving him hell. Yeah. The steal of our election. Oh, here you go. I agree, but look carefully. Antifa and BLM thugs infiltrated the Trump protest to cause problems. They are in the mix and organized. Oh, just like they were during the other, it's like the it's just like the shoes on the other foot now. You know? Same shit, different color hats.
Yeah, but this is
crazy.
This is beyond anything we've seen, even over these rough summer months. I mean, but the fact that those barricades was open just blows my mind. Right? Because we saw, I mean, in Black Lives Matters Plaza, right? Huge crowds, a lot of people, right? Chanting, and Trump had all of those barricades put up, right? When he was hiding in the bunker. But there was really no serious attempt to ever breach them.
Right.
That was more his like fear theories than anything that was happening on the ground. And I mean, that's from reporters. You know, I was following cameras from Australia, the reporters there. And really, that's what they were showing, right? I like to follow news sources from around the world, ideally for a less biased viewpoint. And also there's a local group called Unicorn Riot that follows stuff happening on the ground, and they just live stream whatever they're seeing. But that kind of stuff, there was no real serious attempt to get into those buildings. Right? Nobody ever actually tried to storm the White House.
Right.
This is an entirely different level. And to equate those things is exactly that. It's misdirection, it's misinformation. Yeah.
Wow. Leaders from around the world, including Canadian PM Justin Trudeau and New Zealand PM Jacinda Ardern, shared their thoughts after a mob stormed the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday afternoon. The breach by the mob forced members of the House and Senate to suspend a joint session of Congress to certify President-elect, blah, blah, blah. Wow. That's so intense. Dude's just like filming it or whatever. Wow. Canadians are deeply disturbed and saddened by the attack on democracy in the United States, our closest ally and neighbor. Violence will never succeed in overruling the will of the people. Democracy in the U.S. must be upheld, and it will be. Like so many others, I've been watching what's happening in the United States. I share the sentiment of friends in the U.S. What is happening is wrong. Well, that's simple, but yeah. Democracy, the right of the people to exercise a vote, have their voice heard, and then have that decision upheld peacefully, should never be undone by a mob. Our thoughts are with everyone who is devastated as we are by the events of today. I have no doubt democracy will prevail.
Actually,
Boris Johnson. So, go ahead.
Oh, I just found a person putting up some videos. It looks like from on the scene, and I sent you his Twitter handle in chat.
Okay.
At BG on the scene.
Okay.
Looks like he's got some videos from just past couple of hours. One of the things that struck me, I saw, was the actual people in the buildings. There's video from it. If you go down to about 4 hours ago. And that might, and I haven't seen that yet on any of the major news outlets. Yeah, maybe. No, there's actually, if you go down, I think the caption is like pounding on the door or stop the steal chant. Yeah, actually in the buildings. Yeah, it's a lot to process, not just for your computer, but for us too.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that my computer's so poopy today.
But I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people looking and trying to figure out what's going on.
Where the fuck is the National Guard?
That seems to be a lot of questioning about where are the Guard. So at first they were not going to mobilize them. They said the Capitol Police were going to handle it. And then I think it was about an hour or so in, like once they had breached the perimeter, once they had gotten into the buildings, right, breached the perimeter. Once again, we don't know if they were let in or what that happened. But that's when the mayor of DC actually decided to call in the Capitol Guard, I believe. And once again, stuff is changing. So if I'm wrong on that, I apologize. But I know that there was a decision made a couple hours after. Originally, it said they weren't going to be, that the National Guard was brought in, and that's how they're getting the city under control right now. In addition to, she put into effect a 6 p.m. curfew. So I mean, the mayor of DC is the one really taking solid, concrete steps to protect our nation's capital.
Okay, good.
And I'm getting word actually that Mitch McConnell denounced what happened today.
It's sad that we're like surprised at that.
For everything else that they've abetted and allowed, it is surprising, honestly. Well, hello, Vaughn.
Vaughn is on watching my YouTube channel. Okay, well, I'm losing patience for the loading, the slow loading.
Oh, hey, Rep. Greg Stanton. So he's actually represents an area right next to where I live, and I've met him and talked to him several times.
Let's see if it loads better over here.
I can't imagine being a congressperson, especially a newly elected one right now. You know, where you just won your race and you're getting in there and you're getting your bearings. Yeah, I can't guess what would be in Mitch McConnell's head, Vaughn.
Well, this is a bummer.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, what's this?
Not. I want to say to the American people, the United States Senate will not.
I have to go open the door for my cats. It's like 3 steps away from my chair. I'll be right back. 2 seconds.
Yeah, McConnell shows less feeling than Bill Belichick.
Come on. Chico. Chico. Come on, baby cat. Good boy.
Don't worry, you didn't miss anything.
Well, poo. In that whole time I was gone, it didn't load. Well, I think I'm about to give up and shut it down then if it's... Oh, I didn't? Okay. Hug for all. Are you going to run again, Suzanne?
Hey, thanks for the question. So for anyone who doesn't know, I ran for the Arizona State House this past cycle. I didn't make it there. I was running against the Speaker of the House. He is a GOP stalwart who's been in almost 20 years. And I'm interested to see what he has to say, but he's not on social media. So we won't know until he sends a letter to the newspaper. As far as myself, we've got redistricting coming up. So I don't know what the district would look like again. So I haven't announced anything. But I am currently running for a vice chair slot on the Arizona Democratic Party board to help kind of talk about and guide policy for the party as a whole here in Arizona. Because we need to be talking about Medicare for all. We need to be talking about UBI. And so I'm hopeful to represent some of the Yang Gang philosophy at the top level of the Democratic Party in Arizona. So running for that. Election's coming up in about 3 weeks. So then we'll know if I'm a vice chair or not.
Okay. Well, that sounds cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I learned so much running for office and just connected with so many amazing people that want to make sure that we can keep talking about these topics at every level. I don't have a donation link up right now. This is an internal party campaign. There's only about, I think, 2,000 people in the state of Arizona who can vote for me. So it's a very small pool of outreach that I'm doing. But thank you very much.
Well, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. nothing is loading for me, and it's making me frustrated and impatient. So I might just wait and see if it works better in the morning.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
let's
I'm
see if anything
sure
got
everybody's
blown
on
up
the.
or whatever. Like,
Wow. Well, I'm glad we got to talk a little bit about the 25th Amendment. Unless you want me
we
to try
talked
and
about
do a
that, and I
screen.
wanted to know about that.
Yeah. Talked a little bit
You
about
try to do a screen
impeachment.
share. Let's see if it works better on your end.
Yeah,
You
let's
bet.
see
I'll take
here.
this right down.
Uh,
Yeah, maybe it'll play better on your end.
See, no promises what you'll see here. Hold on. Chrome tab. Let's see if I can show this guy on Twitter. All right, are you seeing this?
Von Dormal, I don't recognize your name. Are we friends on social media? Do we follow each other on Twitter or Facebook? I don't recognize your name other than from YouTube, because you're the only person, one of the only people that comments on my YouTube channel. So I'm excited about that. Thank you.
Are you
but
able to
yes,
hear
the
the
whole
audio?
world is looking at us in a not so good way. I think that's been true for a while now. There you go.
All right, can you hear audio?
No, not yet.
Okay. Let me try taking off my headphone then too.
No.
All right.
I mean, just recently though, like recently in what, like the last 4 years, or like.
Yeah, this is in the Capitol building today.
Oh, there it is.
You are right! You murdering! You
Look at some of these. Let's see what this one is.
I'm surprised I'm surprised they're not like crashing all that glass out, and
police are still trying to block them from coming in as alarms sound.
They're not vandalizing it more.
I mean, you can't even see the police in this. You see the windows,
Which would
though?
be a shame. I don't want them to, obviously, but I'm surprised they're not.
Oh, there's the one police officer. Oh my God. Wow. Did you catch the audio on that? They're trying to convince the officer. They're saying, you're on the right side. You're doing the right thing. Just let them in. Let them in. You're going to be safe.
Gosh.
Look at this. So some of them must have gotten in either a different entrance or something.
Oh, that's some damage.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, they're not even hiding their faces. This guy here, right in the dead center with his big, wide open pie hole.
Yeah.
All of these people are identifiable. How stupid are they? Good Lord.
God, I mean, this is this is disturbing. This is so, I mean, I feel like it's a little too late now for a advisory. Because I haven't watched these either. So, I mean, this is just real time. I saw this guy had some pictures inside. And there are people trying to say that there's not real violence and nothing happened.
Yeah.
You see a guy in the front too? He's wearing like an American supremacist shirt. I mean, this is God.
So I just dropped the link if anybody wants to join us.
Yeah. Yeah, Mayor Bowser of DC is the one that put in the curfew, that called in National Guard or troops. I mean, she's the one trying to protect right now inside. Well, and once again, this was about 6-7 hours ago. So they've gotten everybody out now. They've continued, right? Earlier we were watching some of the votes. So this is not live. And that explains how they got in.
Oh my gosh.
It almost sounds like the one guy's yelling "kill." So he's got some stuff before from outside, and that was when I saw that he had actual video inside. I mean, obviously this person, whoever did this, is also right there in there with them. Here, we'll do one. I'm gonna do one more. And the officers are just overwhelmed. I mean, they're not dressed inside for this. Wow. So there we go. That was in there. Crazy.
I just am astounded at how they're just allowed to walk around. They're just like casually strolling down the corridor, you know? And like,
yeah. I mean, the interior security is clearly overwhelmed. Just don't even know what to do with that. They never should have gotten through the outside. You know, we saw that basically that one person who was trying to keep the doors closed, they came in through a window. They essentially bullied that person out of the way and told them, "Oh, you're doing the right thing. Just let him in. We're here for democracy. We're on your side." And
right.
But I mean, what are you going to do when there's 30, 40 people in a hallway? They were trying to hold the line. There was definitely, I mean, just not the kind of response you would expect at the nation's capital.
Right.
I mean, what's your kind of just raw take on that?
It feels like they are in on it. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like they're just like, okay, you know, we're just gonna let it happen. Like, it just seems so one one-sided, two-faced, whatever. But like with the other protests, like the George Floyd and the BM, you know, that whole bit before was so violent, and the cops, the military, the government, Trump, everybody was so freaking violent against the peaceful protesters. And then this, I mean, it's infuriating to me that they're just like allowed to traipse through the place like they own it, you know. And I guess in sort of a way they do, but it's just like, it's just bad.
Well,
Like anything's
it's
happening.
not just theirs, though. It's ours.
I guess they killed one woman.
She was coming at somebody. I actually saw some of that. Not a video, but a still shot of them like carrying her backward. Apparently she was trying to come through a window at a cop, and they shot her. Which is likely the response that they're supposed to have when somebody is trying to break in with violent intent into the building. But I haven't seen video. I don't know what kind of warnings were given, anything like that. So, you know, I'm going to let that one work itself out. But I think seeing that video of them breaking into the window and then climbing in gives some clarity on how they got into there.
What do these people think are going to happen? Is going to happen? Like, I'm also astounded at like their thought process. Like, they've been talking about January 6th forever. Oh yeah, they've been planning on it and talking about it. And, like, did nobody take them seriously? Yeah.
It feels very Pearl Harbor in that way.
Just
right, where like American had intelligence that this attack was coming and they just didn't believe it. And then acted like it was a giant surprise. Right. It's like, no, your commanders, everybody saw the writing, literally had transcribed the messages. And we're just like, they're just kidding. It's a figurative attack. Like, we've clearly passed that point. And in many ways, this is the logical conclusion of the, Proud Boys stand by kind of language. Well, they're not going to stand by any longer. This is it. And it's interesting to note, too, that this time last year, Trump was impeached and was facing trial at the Senate. And that's the excuse that he gave for not focusing on the coronavirus protection plan, right? Giving that due course. And so we've lost over 300,000 American lives. Putting this in a bigger context.
Yeah.
And here we are 1 year later. Right? All of these people, this pandemic, the masks, the entire world, our lives have changed. Really in horrific ways. And we're right back at the Capitol. Right? Talking about impeaching him again.
I just bought a copy of the Mueller report at the thrift store today.
Oh, wow.
Paperback.
And when that came out,
I have a presidential collection. I have like a presidential library.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll be interested to look at that. But yeah, I figured for historical purposes to add to my presidential library.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Might as well have that. And it didn't have his face on it. So that was good. I don't know that I could buy it if it did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I saw Scaramucci said that Trump would be out of DC by like in the next 24 hours. Scaramucci. So do you remember he was part of the Trump administration for like a week and a half?
I love Anthony Scaramucci.
I actually really like him.
I follow him very closely, actually.
Okay,
I like him a lot. I do.
So I saw he tweeted about it. And he
okay. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to. Oh, he really does. And he really knows and understands Trump's mind. Like he is inside his head, and he knows how he thinks and how he maneuvers and stuff like that. Like he really gets it. And like, so after he got fired, I remember seeing him once. This is when I first realized that I'm like, hey, wait, I need to listen to this guy. So he was on CNN with Chris Cuomo, and Chris was kind of, I noticed that Chris Cuomo does a little bit more of a tougher New York guy act, kind of thing with other New Yorkers. Okay. And so he was kind of doing that with Scaramucci, and I felt like he was kind of putting on some kind of a New Yorker tough guy air. I didn't like it. And I was like, and I normally kind of like Chris Cuomo, but I was just like, yeah, I don't like what you're doing there. And he kept interrupting the mooch. And I was just like, shut up. I want to hear what he's trying to say. Because he's like, and then finally Anthony gets mad, kind of perturbed, you could tell. And he's like, look, you want to know how Trump's going to respond to this, whatever it was? You want to know what he's thinking? I can tell you what he's thinking. If you would just let me talk long enough, I could tell you how we can get through this. And then it was done. Then like the interview was over. And then I was like, wait a minute. And then I started looking into him more, and I was like, wow, he's really on top of it. And he's Yang Gang. He supported Yang. He fully supports UBI.
Oh yeah, no, he actually has he's doing a lot of stuff, obviously, but there's something called SALT Talks, and he has experts on in different industries to do like 1-hour presentations. You're talking about cryptocurrency, talking about the pandemic, and I've listened to quite a few of them, and they're really good. They're well done, and he just lets the expert talk, and that's something that I really like. And we don't get enough of is just long form. Let the person who knows what's going on talk about what they know.
Uh-huh. Right. Yes. Just stop talking and let's just listen to him. I watched an interview with Scaramucci at Oxford, and it was just brilliant. I think he's brilliant. And he's not afraid to like take the criticism. Like he takes the criticism pretty well, because one of the students there asked him kind of a hard question that made the rest of the audience go, ooh, I don't even remember what the question was. And the young man stopped himself when everybody went, ooh. And the mooch goes, no, I want to hear it. Everybody, let's let him ask his question. Come on, do it. And he knew that he was about to get railed by this kid. And he took it. He's like, nope, let's do it. And then he answered him like so intelligently and so like in such a kind way. Like he didn't put that kid down for disagreeing with him or anything like that. And I just thought that was really cool. He's my favorite Republican right now. Like famous Republican.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't even know that I think of him as a Republican. I just think of him as like kind of a New York business guy.
Oh, today is his birthday.
Oh, really? Well,
today is Anthony Scaramucci's birthday.
Well, if he happens to see this, happy birthday. And it looks like we had another White House resignation. The social secretary, Ricky Nacita, has also submitted her resignation tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Mooch. Okay. So what's this say? Who did?
White House social secretary.
Who
She's
did,
out now.
Suzanne?
Oh, the White House social secretary has submitted her resignation as well. Let's see. Where's her name?
Mm.
Oh, I scrolled off of it.
Well, these are
Oh,
some
here it
pretty
is.
low
Ricky
level
Nisita.
jobs, though. Like, let's get some bigger people.
Well, it sounds like the cabinet is actually.
Vaughn says you need the military to have a successful coup. Trump does not have the military support. This is really just entertaining and depressing at the same time. It really is.
I mean, after what we saw, though, with the lack of response from security, I would say that he does have support within the military. There's been a lot of suspicious killings around military bases recently of women who are in the service. So there's definitely some things to look into as well. And I mean, all respect for veterans. My father's a veteran, and it's incredibly hard, underpaid, just thankless job that does a real number on you. But the way that Trump has both denigrated the military, I mean, insulted like John McCain, one of our heroes here in Arizona, but then also kind of had this strongman act that I think a lot of people have found very appealing. So I would not completely dismiss his military support.
Right.
And I would say we actually saw evidence of that during the DC protests when military brought in helicopters, right, and used them in ways that would potentially be considered war crimes in other areas to try and do crowd mitigation in DC on American citizens. So we've seen the military do things that would be otherwise considered inappropriate. Yeah, people are still dying though, man. They need to get more than fired when there are women getting killed and murdered and missing. But yeah, there's some other issues going on in there.
So in Fort Hood, wasn't that where there's been a bunch of murders and like dismemberments and all sorts of horrible things happening in Fort Hood?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yes, more than fired. They need to be prosecuted for letting that happen for so long. That's insane. Well,
yeah. Well, I gotta jump just because of the time. It's 8:00 my time. But thank you, Annette, for hanging out, chatting, going over the news.
I just found the Scaramucci tweet that Trump may leave the DC by tomorrow. The heat is on. Yeah. I'm getting really tired myself. So you are very welcome, Suzanne. Thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Thanks
right.
to all
Well,
the
then we
viewers.
might as well end this broadcast. And thanks everybody that tuned in. Thank you, Vaughn Dorwell, for being our main contributor for comments. We appreciate you. And we will see you guys next time. Yang gang, baby. Right on.
Yang gang.
All right. Well, I'll come back tomorrow and let's see an update of what's going on tomorrow. Never a day's rest. I have a dentist appointment tomorrow, y'all, though, so I don't know what time I'm going to have my poop in a group to do an update. Okay. So anyway, good night. Yang gang love. The claw.